YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. You are in for a treat because I'm on to something right here. If the Amazon XRP rumors were all noise, can you explain why Ripple is suddenly wiring XRP into US derivatives? Why ETFs are exploding past 1 billion? And why a former Ripple executive is secretly stacking $500 million XRP through a new institution? Something big is moving in the background, and today I'm going to show you the receipts. Make sure you don't blink, you turn up the volume, you hit the follow button, and you smash that thumbs up because everyone who holds XRP needs to see this video. And we're going to start right here with this article coming in over from XRPrightnow.com. Save it to your bookmarks. We revived a claim that Amazon purchased 5 billion XRP back in 2015. Now listen, we're not treating this like gospel. What we are going to do is we are going to unpack why this rumor suddenly resurfaced right as Ripple is making its most aggressive institutional play in years. Now here's the setup, right? An old Steemit post resurfaced from a controversial XRP community figure who claimed that Amazon quietly acquired 5 billion XRP and locked it up for a future partnership. The rumor flatlined for years until now, because out of nowhere, folks, Ripple, they jumped headfirst into a regulated US crypto derivatives and they backed a platform called Bitnomial. And suddenly the community goes, wait, was this the plan the whole time? Why? Because Amazon level companies, they don't just need fast payments. They need the whole stack. They need hedging, derivatives, liquidity, stable rails, everything. You name it, right? They need it. And what do we have right now? We got Ripple investing in a CFTC regulated derivatives exchange, XRP listed as an underlying asset, RLUSD being hardwired into future settlements, and institutional grade products launching around XRP. Now, this is the kind of infrastructure you build when someone or something big is coming, right? This isn't for traders, this isn't for retail, but for companies that move money in hundreds of different currencies, exactly like Amazon. Now, again, look, there is zero official confirmation from Ripple, from Amazon this, but the timing, the infrastructure, the strategic focus on derivatives, it's no wonder this rumor came roaring back to life. And I want you to hold that thought, because next we're going to cover Bitnomial's role and why this matters way more than most people actually understand. But as always, make sure you click that link below. Join my free newsletter. And if you're looking to book a one-on-one call with me, 30-minute or 60-minute session, me and you face to face, talking about your LLC setup, your strategy moving forward, reviewing your portfolio, what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing. If you're looking to save years of headache, this is what the call's for. The link is down below. Now we're going to move over to this, the press release that came out. Because here's where this story is going to go from speculation to structure. Because while crypto Twitter was screaming about the Amazon rumor, Bitnomial, they quietly announced something massive. They have officially launched the first ever stablecoin margin collateral using RLUSD and expanding digital asset support for XRP. Why is that a big deal, you're probably asking? I got you covered. Because this is exactly the kind of setup that institutions require to operate. A regulated environment, USD denominated collateral, XRP based derivatives, and clean settlement using RLUSD. This is the exact opposite of your offshore chaos. This is Wall Street ready architecture. Institutions don't just buy an asset, they hedge it, they short it, they lever it, they manage volatility and price risk. And for the first time in US history, XRP now has the full toolbox available under CFTC oversight. This isn't an accident. Make no mistake about it. Ripple wants RLUSD to be the settlement rail, XRP to be manageable and a hedgeable asset, and for Bitnomial to be the institutional gateway. This plays directly into what a company like Amazon would require before using XRP for global payouts or even FX flows. So this isn't about believing in a rumor. It is about recognizing the infrastructure being built around XRP in real time. And it gets even better because unlike the Amazon story, Ripple's involvement in Bitnomial, it's fully documented. We're going to jump right here. This is where we're going to separate your rumor from receipts because unlike the Amazon speculation, Ripple's Bitnomial investment, it's public. It's verifiable and it's loaded with details. Here's what's confirmed. And here was, you can see Bitnomial's exchange versus the US Securities and Exchange Commission. October 2024, Ripple led a $25 million funding round for Bitnomial. Bitnomial, they are a CFTC regulated US futures exchange. It offers perps, futures on assets, including XRP. Brad Garlinghouse has publicly praised them for bringing in offshore models back into the US and specifically calls out RLUSD for settlement efficiency. As of today, Bitnomial has added RLUSD and XRP as margin collateral on their Botanical platform. That's the publicly traded platform. The CFTC rulebook references XRP price bands and future structures. Legal filings, like you see on your screen, list XRP as part of Bitnomial's underlying asset setup. Now, this isn't minor. This isn't cosmetic. Ripple is building the derivatives plumbing for XRP inside the US regulatory perimeter. And remember, Brad Garlinghouse sits on the board here. You see where this is going? And this is exactly what might, or what needs to, I should say, exist before a giant, whether Amazon, Uber, or anyone else, can reliably use XRP for global payments, supplier payments, FX conversions, liquidity routing, or even cross-border settlement. So while this rumor is still unverified, the infrastructure that Ripple is building, it is very real. But the only question becomes is, who are they actually building it for? And that brings us to a clip that the XRP diehards are still going to obsess about. And it all stems from these posts. These were the Stemmet posts. I'm gonna pull them up on the screen so you can see them real quick, talking about why would Amazon care to partner with Ripple back in 2015. Talking about Codius, and then it goes on even further. I've talked about when would the partnership be announced. But it gets interesting here because we all know who Ashish Burler is. Used to work for Ripple. He now runs Evernorth, you know, the company who's stacking XRP. But we're going to get into that in a second. Because back in 2015, I believe this was. Nope, it was a little bit later. From Payments Canada, Ashish Burla was on stage and he was doing a presentation. And he had a slip up. This is one of the most replayed clips ever. This is probably what actually put Ashish Burla on the map, to be honest with you. Long-term Ripple executive, and he's explaining on stage Ripple's mission of building the internet of value. It's clean, it's polished, it's very corporate. Until he hits about 3 minutes and 40 seconds in on this clip, he starts talking about solving the financial problems of large platforms. He then transitions into global payments. And then he starts talking about our customers. And he worked for Ripple at the time. And he keeps saying the word our customers. And you're going to hear it in this clip. And then casually he drops the word Amazon. And instantly, what do you see? You get an oh crap moment, right? You get this awkward forced cough and then a total pivot away from naming specific companies. Listen to this.
If you don't solve payments first, you can't innovate on top of it. And so there are a lot of problems that you have to solve. And we talked to a lot of our customers around the world. And I was surprised that even large customers, it takes them 3 to 5 days to get the payment where it needs to be. And this was the case of Amazon paying merchants cross-border and taking weeks for that payment to arrive. 5%.
There was your weird cough and your awkward transition completely away from the subject. I'm going to play it again, but listen to these key words. He says, we've talked to our customers, our partners, like Amazon. What does that mean, folks? To me, that's Ashish slipping up. And as you can see, his body language and his body gesture in here, when he is looking away, and you can kind of see from his eyes, even though we don't have a full-on shot, he's kind of like, oh, crap, man. And you can't just restart a presentation. It's being recorded, it's live, people are in the crowd. Listen to this again.
And so there are a lot of problems that you have to solve. And we talk to a lot of our customers
We talk to a lot of our customers
around the world. And I was surprised that even large customers, it takes them 3 to 5 days to get the payment where it needs to be. And this was the case of Amazon paying merchants cross-border and taking weeks for that payment to arrive.
And then the weird cough comes in. That's not a normal cough. Look at his face. He's like, oh, dude, I did it. Now look, does this confirm anything? No. Does it fit into the pattern? No. Abso-freaking-lutely. Because look, shortly after this, Ashish moves into running a new entity. I kid you not. That is built specifically to accumulate XRP at institutional scale. And that company is, as we all know, Evernorth, the institutional XRP hoarding machine. That's what I like to call them. Because this is where the story flips from interesting to absolutely insane. Because the guy who accidentally name dropped Amazon, he now runs Evernorth Holdings, a Nevada corporation which was created to enable institutional scale XRP adoption. And what is Evernorth doing right now? They're buying an absurd amount of XRP. I mean, look at this. Evernorth acquires an additional 214 million in XRP, bringing their total XRP purchase to over 473 million. That is an absurd amount of XRP, folks. That's insane. That is insane. This is a treasury, not a trade, not a swing, a treasury. This is exactly what you would build if, well, you expect XRP to become a global payments infrastructure. You know liquidity demand is about to explode, and you want a massive strategic position before that happens. If Evernorth, I should say, knows something or believes something about future adoption by mega platforms, this move makes perfect sense. And the timing couldn't be any better because look, institutions are already piling through another channel, and that channel is your spot XRP ETFs, which then brings us to this. Your XRP ETFs are skyrocketing. Smart money knows, but here's the part that most people aren't paying attention to. XRP is now the fastest US spot crypto ETF to break 1 billion assets under management, which is wild, right? And then we see this news talking about Bitcoin is entering an elongated cycle here. Well, if Bitcoin's going to go higher, what's going to happen with the price of XRP? It's going to follow Bitcoin. It's going to go higher as well. Now, sprinkle in the supply shock, the supply shortage that we are seeing on XRP here, and it gets pretty freaking wild. And then you got Brad Garlinghouse out there talking about the ETFs. And remember, the money that's coming into these ETFs, this isn't degen money. This is your retirement accounts, Vanguard clients, wealth advisors, traditional investors, institutional allocators, people who want exposure, but they don't want to touch an exchange. And I don't blame them. A few patterns are now undeniable. The demand for regulated crypto exposure, it's huge. XRP survival story, the lawsuits, the delisting, the FUD, making it uniquely appealing to conservative allocators. And big money always moves early, quietly, and before the public realizes why Evernorth is stacking XRP, what Bitnomial is actually building. And your ETF demand is exploding. Which brings us to the grand finale. Why Amazon using XRP actually makes more sense today than it has ever before. Here's the truth. Amazon isn't just a retailer. They are a global payments empire. Every day, Amazon pays sellers in dozens of different countries, suppliers in even more, logistic partners, contractors, developers, cloud customers, content creators. They move money a dizzying range of currencies across every major financial corridor on Earth. The old system's slow, folks. We all know that. It's fragmented and it's very expensive. XRP, it solves that with its instant settlement, its neutral bridge asset functionality, its massive reduction in FX cost, its automated liquidity, It's on-demand conversion and it's transparent throughput. If you're Amazon's treasury department and someone hands you a tool that's going to reduce your float, reduce your exposure, simplify your payouts, give you speed settlement that you do not have right now, and reduce your locked capital pools globally, you don't ignore it. You test it, you pilot it, and you explore it privately. Maybe you even stack it early. Now, I want you to combine that with RLUSD as a programmable US settlement layer, with a US regulated XRP derivatives for hedging, with Evernorth's building institutional treasuries, and your ETF's tightening supply. Ripple is setting up the infrastructure of global liquidity. And suddenly, the idea of Amazon using XRP, well, it's just not that crazy after all now, is it? It's actually very strategic. Will Amazon confirm it tomorrow? Probably not. But the rails are built, the players are moving, and the capital is flowing. Something big is lining up, and the receipts are all pointing in the exact same direction. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you book a one-on-one call because I look forward to speaking with you and helping you navigate crypto as we move forward in a world where crypto and the crypto markets are going to be a lot bigger than your stock market because everything is coming on chain. On your way out, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, folks, and I'll see all y'all